Well, hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Let's go. Well, I don't know what's going on in your household, but this is our first day where what I would consider back to normal, meaning that I'm at work, Miss Parker is at work.
Hi, Miss Parker.
And all the kids are back in school. So we're going to have about one day of normalcy, and then tomorrow it's supposed to snow. All right, well, this is getting weird. Daniel Armbruster is on my first guest on with AAA here in Texas. And you guys keep an eye on this because, you know, the auto safety is a big issue whenever it freezes here in North Texas. How bad do you think it's going to get?
That's a great question, James. Good afternoon. We're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, but certainly, there's going to be a lot of people that will need roadside assistance over the next few days. We tend to see an increase in call volume for service in these types of events.
I saw you guys are recommending emergency kits for extreme winter weather in your vehicles. What's in these kits that you're recommending?
Yeah, so the idea here is stay warm. If your vehicle breaks down, you don't have power, it's sub-freezing temperatures out there, you want to stay warm. And so that means you have like blankets, hats, gloves, anything that's going to help you conserve your heat. But also we're talking about things like a basic toolkit, first aid kit, drinking water so that if you're waiting for help, you have some water, and hopefully you don't have to wait too long, but you might need food and other things. So non-perishable food items, jumper cables, things of that nature. Dead batteries are one of the top roadside emergencies we'll likely see over the next few days.
That sounds like something that doesn't really happen in Texas much. Like I see on TV how there's some sort of blizzard and then there's a traffic jam and then people have to stay in their car for like 24 hours. But the likelihood of that happening around here, I can't think of that ever happening in this area.
No, you don't see a lot of those types of situations. But what you do see is drivers running out of fuel, going outside, starting their vehicle in the cold, and then it doesn't start because the cold weather actually requires about 30% more energy from your battery to start in when it's cold outside. So your car needs more energy from the battery. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, if their battery's over 3 years old, you tend to start running into issues where the battery just doesn't have enough power.
Yeah, these are good tips for if you're going to be traveling up north, too. I remember a few years ago, I went to a funeral up in like Kentucky, and it was snowing. I was not prepared, and I was saying, why didn't y'all tell me? They're like, it's winter, it snows here, and I'm just not used to that.
Yeah, luckily we don't have to deal with that too much here in Texas, but maybe once or twice a year.
All right, so when we have the first freeze of the winter, how bad does it have to get before the bridges ice over? Because it's been my observation for a couple decades here in talk radio where you get most of the accidents is people slip sliding on frozen bridges.
Yeah, those are usually one of the first places that ice accumulates. Certainly bridges, overpasses, ramps, things of that nature tend to ice first, and so that's where you start seeing the crashes. And usually what will happen is it'll start out, as rain or maybe freezing rain. I think this issue is going to be snow, but it could still melt, become slippery, and then people get a little overconfident, especially in the beginning of the storm, and think that they can still drive at normal speed limits. And unfortunately, that's when they find out that, you're going to lose control of your vehicle. You're going to have an issue slowing down or reacting, and then you have a crash.
Well, you work for AAA. Can I sign up for AAA today? And then if something happens tomorrow, y'all still come out and give me a hand?
There's usually a 24-hour moratorium, but you can pay a fee to speed that up, certainly. And AAA is not very expensive. We have various plans, but there's 3 different level plans, but it starts out as low as around $5 to $6 a month. Is
this like the busy time for you guys? Or I don't know, maybe y'all are more busy when it's like 100 degrees and cars are overheating and car fires or whatever. But which one's busier, extreme cold or hot?
Here in Texas, we see it both ways. So, yeah, we have the extreme hot, and then we have the really cold weather. Of course, we have more calls during the summer, but we still see about we can see anywhere from a 10 to 40% increase in call volume in these winter weather events.
Where do people sign up?
AAA.com. AAA.com is where you can go. You can learn more about the emergency vehicle kit as well and what items go in it.
All right. Thank you very much. Daniel Armbruster, AAA. Oh, studio audience a little excited about that one. Calm down, folks. My question for you, though, you person listening, would you rather it be 20 degrees outside like it was last night or when you woke up this morning, or would you rather it be 100? Because right now I'm missing 100. I know we griped about it, and it's like an oven outside. I think I'd rather it be 100 than in the 20s. What do you think? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Also, our first freeze of the winter. Do you have any tips for dealing with the freezing weather? Any life hacks you'd like to share with the rest of us? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Are you ready for the winter weather? You ready for it to snow? It's kind of amazing because aside from a couple of drifts that we had last year and the year before, my youngest daughter doesn't really remember Snowmageddon 2001. So in her mind, she's never seen snow, even though technically she has. She was like 5 at the time. But she's super excited about it. The rest of us that have to go to work, maybe not so much. Snow was so fun when you were a kid. Why? Because it meant you got to be off school and you could make a snowman and you could make snowballs and throw them at each other. And you could, if you had any friends, you could play with them. Or if you lived close enough to other human beings, I heard stories of people that played with their neighbors. But for those of us who still have to go to work, no matter what it is, cops, firemen, doctors, I mean, a lot of us don't have the luxury of taking the day off. We got to get ready for it. We got to buck up. Homeowners, you have to buck up. This is kind of an important time for you, too. You don't have that house ready. You're going to have some nasty repairs. But there's a lot of things that, because we're from here, transplants are laughing at us. Go ahead, laugh it up. Because we're from here, I often find things that falling through the cracks whenever winter rolls around. Like, I don't think I have a pair of gloves right now. And I mean, for real winter gloves. I have work gloves. I have those little leather ones that are gray with the blue and red, what is that, fiberglass on the back? You know what I'm talking about when you chuck firewood or whatever, doing yard work. I have those gloves, but I don't have like for real winter gloves. I don't have the isotoners that Joe Namath had in the commercial from 1991. I don't have. I think I bought some of those like in 2001 when it for real snowed last time, when we actually had to deal with some real cold, but that's like 4 years ago. I haven't been like the model of glove storage for the last 4 years. I don't think I could find it right now if you gave me an hour. So there's a lot of little things like that because we don't deal with this every year. We didn't really have a big freeze last year, not one that lasted for a long time. I don't remember getting off work for anything like that. But there's a lot of things that you can see. You know if you're running out of firewood, or you know if you only have like one bundle or none left. But you don't see like whether or not you have enough propane. You also don't see, unless you think about it, do you have gloves? Do you have like a big knit hat or something that can for real keep your head warm? Not something that looks kind of cute or the one that has the Dallas Cowboy star on it. I mean like a winter ready hat. Do you even have one? I don't think I have a for real one either. I have like this cute little SpaceX one that I wore today. But that barely covers my ears. No, I want one of those. Looks like I just walked out of Moscow. Maybe even the flaps on the side. You know those big babushka hats? If you got something like that, consider yourself lucky because most of us don't. I've never had a hat like that. One other thing that slips through the cracks here for native Texans, and no pun intended on this, is do you have a proper set of drawers? You know what I mean? Thermal underpants. Or just something that's tight enough that you can wear it under your jeans or whatever you have to wear to work, your work pants. I don't think I have one of those right now either. Again, I bought thermal underwear. I think I bought some thermal underwear like 8 years ago, and I couldn't find it in 2001, and so I just toughed it out over the last few years. I don't think I have anything I can layer up on my legs. What am I going to do? I don't know. Maybe wear some pajama pants under my normal jeans. It's like it's kind of improvising you have to do for something that only happens one out every 4 years or so. But I do not have the proper set of drawers. Again, transplants, laugh it up. I know you think this is hilarious. You don't have thermal underwear. No, we don't. We don't keep up with it. Here's the one situation where I excel in cold weather preparation. I'm the snack guy. I get the beer, the wine, the liquor, and the snacks. You have to be careful with the snacks because it has to be something that's kind of shelf stable and can survive in cold weather and not be nasty. So I'm your guy for that one. Do you have your liquor cabinet stocked up? Because for some people, especially if the more rural you get, the more likely it is that you're just going to have to go without making a trip to the grocery store for a couple days. If we get a lot of snow starting tomorrow, and if it sticks, and if there's a slow response, you want to be ready. You don't want to run out of Captain's wafers or bourbon. So a lot of preparation going on. Do you have any tips for dealing with the freezing weather? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. And also my other question for you is, would you rather it be 25 degrees or 100 degrees? Let me make it a round number. Would you rather it be 30 degrees or 100 degrees? I'll even give you 5 more degrees. I would choose 100. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Number one reason why I would prefer for it to be 100 is because you can still go swimming. See, it's one of my favorite things in the world. But also, it takes so much less preparation to deal with hot weather. You could just walk outside in your drawers if you want to, and you don't have to worry about dying like you would if it's 30 degrees or 20 degrees or whatnot. Yeah, it's not nearly as deadly. Now, it's not uncomfortable either. It's not like if you forget an article of clothing, your ears are going to hurt so bad the rest of the day, or every time the wind blows, you wish you were dead. Also, I much prefer Miss Parker's wardrobe when it's 100.
I Miss Parker.
Versus 20. That, look, if you're going to marry someone that looks like Jessica Rabbit and inherit all the problems that come necessarily with that, you want to get as much enjoyment out of as possible. And the wardrobe choices for Miss Parker, much better when it's 100 degrees versus 20. I mean, she's still cute in a ski suit, don't get me wrong. But, when you have the boat days out on Lake Louisville or whatever, yeah, you'll be more grateful for those 100-degree days. Because right now, we are just now having our first freeze of the year. And my thoughts are, I can't wait for it to be 100 again. I cannot wait. There's also the negative consequences of it being 100. It doesn't include your pipes bursting and ruining the plumbing, and now all of a sudden you got a leak in your attic, and then it leaks through the drywall, and you've ruined your carpet. You have to do the attic, the drywall, the insulation, the pipe on top of all that. It's just mess after mess after mess, cascading on top of one another. The big problems that you have when it's summertime and it's 100 degrees, your air conditioner might go out, or your air conditioner bill is going to be pretty steep this year. Yeah, that's not nearly as bad. And there's other negative consequences. Having to use the fireplace more often means there's like house fires, or you have some issue with the soot in your chimney. Or I much prefer 100 degrees, and I miss it already. I miss it so bad. 800-288-9227. This is Kathy in Fort Worth. What do you choose? 30 degrees or 100 degrees?
Definitely 100. I'd take 100 over 60 degrees.
Why is that?
Because I freeze. I don't like the cold.
Yeah,
it'd be hot.
Look, I have, and Bruce is one of them. I know a few transplants here that actually change over time. I don't know if their blood thins out. In fact, Chris Kroc was talking about that last night, about how, he's from Chicago, and it used to be, 20 degrees was a normal day to go to work, and he can't stand it when it gets below 40 now. I think my cutoff is around 62. That's when I stop enjoying it getting colder, is about 60 degrees.
Definitely.
All right.
You can always drink iced tea.
Well, good. We're not the crazy ones here. We're the normal ones. Coming up next, you're going to hear from one of the top plumbing companies in DFW about how to properly prepare your pipes for the freezing weather. Courtney Wilkinson of Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. Sports fans, even though the Cowboys season is over, you can still have fun playing the Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, mind you. And throughout the football season, even in the playoffs, you can get some action and take advantage of that sports knowledge that you're carrying around. Turn it into some money. Look, I scored big over the holidays. There was when Luka kind of tweaked his what he had like an injury, and they were debating on whether or not he was going to be on injured reserve. Well, in that next game, they had him for like 40 points or something. So I picked less than that and turn my inside knowledge on what's really going on with him. He only played like half the game. He only had like 20 points. I turned that into money. So if you have an inside tip, if you know your team better than other people, take advantage of it. Turn it into money. Go get the Prize Picks app. You make a lineup of 2 to 6 players. You choose more or less on stats. You hit all of them. You could win up to 1,000 times your money. So download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP for a $50 promo cash with your first $5 play. Prize Picks app. Promo code WBAP. Download it. Run your game. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to the big show. Is it cold enough for you? Yeah, this is cold enough for me. It's 39 right now, according to my phone. The overnight low tonight is expected to dip down to maybe 25-ish, so there's going to be some problems for some people. Courtney Wilkinson is my next guest on with Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. At what temperature does it have to be before we get into pipe bursting territory, Courtney?
Well, it all depends on how well your house is insulated. Unfortunately, in Texas, we don't have the best insulation to keep cold weather out. It's usually to keep the cold in. So it can happen if we were to be at 32 for 10, 12 hours and on a north-facing wall with the wind as bad as it's going to be, you could easily get your pipes could easily freeze and bust if you don't take the proper precautions.
So even at 32 degrees, you can get some busted pipes.
Yes, it's mainly whenever if you have any plumbing on an outside wall, especially a north-facing wall, you can't always take into consideration just the temperature, but also the wind chill factor. And that wind can penetrate, or that cold weather can penetrate through the wall, and it will freeze a pipe. So it's very important that you take proper precautions. At overnight, always leave your cabinet doors open, leave a faucet running. If it's on any of the plumbing that's on outside wall, leave your faucet running hot and cold for a steady stream, not just a drip.
Wow. Is there anything we could do to remedy that? Can you shoot some spray foam insulation into the wet wall?
Well, if you can, a lot of times it's hard to actually do that once it's built without having to tear out a wall.
Right.
So that's why it's just to take the proper precautions. Leave the cabinet doors open so that the heat from the house can help prevent anything from any of your water lines from freezing. And then also always unhook garden hoses from any of your outside faucets. And go ahead and just, if you probably don't need to water too much right now, go ahead and put outside faucet covers on. And we always say don't use towels because towels will hold moisture. And if it freezes, then, and especially if we're going to get any kind of precipitation, it's going to get wet, it'll freeze, and then you have the potential for it to break, to freeze the pipe and bust and have a mess in your house.
Yeah, that's all I do with my faucets is those styrofoam covers that you get at Lowe's. Is that enough to cover it?
Oh, yes. They're foam, and as long as it's sealed properly, and make sure it's definitely not leaking. If it is leaking, you want to make sure that you get that fixed because it will that water dripping down, the temperatures can penetrate through that, go up to the faucet, go into the line, and then bust it too. So you want to make sure that you don't have anything leaking. It's turned off all the way.
A plumbing company handles gas lines a lot. What do I need to know? I have natural gas in my house. Do I need to do anything to winterize for that?
No, you should be fine. I wouldn't worry about anything with gas lines. It's mainly just the water lines. We always also say a lot of times, especially these days, houses are built with the water lines overhead in the attic.
Yep.
So if we do have temperatures where it's going to get to where it's over 24 hours of freezing temperatures, you want to keep faucets running so that your lines in your attic don't freeze. That's very important. We have that happen a lot where people call and they say, hey, my water lines are all frozen. we can't do anything. The best thing to do is open up your attic door spaces and try and get some heat in there. But the best way to prevent that is to keep faucets running. And then I even say to flush toilets. And we've even seen where it doesn't even have to be on an outside wall for plumbing to freeze. I had a friend of ours last year, and it was actually on the opposite wall of the outside wall, and her toilet froze, and the faucet did too. But it's just important to keep those running so that you don't have any kind of you just don't want to take the risk. You want to make sure to just prevent that from freezing. And then also we've seen where if you whenever you're running your faucets, I had another friend of mine who called. She was like, oh my gosh, my sink is backing up. And what happened is the drain actually froze. So it's always, you want to, even though you're leaving those running, always check to make sure that your sinks are draining properly.
All right. Thank you very much. This is Courtney Wilkinson, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. If someone does have some plumbing issues, how do they get in contact with you guys?
You can get hold of us, BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com. Call us at 866-562-1776. We are online. We can reach us on Google. You can book us online, and we'll be here to help you out.
And I've tried this before. You can just ask your phone, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing.
Of course.
It'll call Courtney. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
And good luck, homeowners, with your houses. I have done the busted pipe thing, and it's terrible. Luckily, mine was on a pipe that was on an outside wall, so it was minimum damage. But this is for real. It didn't even last that long. It was like, oh, I'll wrap the pipes tomorrow. It's only going to get to like 30 tonight. And so, yeah, I've been on the bad end of this. And this is for real stuff. If you're a new homeowner, don't find out the hard way. Just go ahead and do something about it now. All right, coming up next, first freeze of the winter for DFW. What's your tips for dealing with the cold weather? I'd love to hear it. 800-288-9227. And then there was a Trump press conference at about 11 o'clock or so this morning. I'm going to play you some audio highlights from that. It sounds like we may be getting a new state. I don't know if it's going to be Canada. I don't know if it's going to be Greenland, but I like the sound of all this. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I hate the cold weather. I really do. I hate to be so much of a baby about it. But, it's the first freeze of the winter. Hopefully it will be the last. They keep moving the timetable on when the snow is going to get here and how much is going to get here, or if you're going to get snow or some sort of nasty, icy mix. So let's get some help with that. Sam Schamberger's on with the National Weather Service. Sam, I'm in downtown Dallas. Am I going to get snowed on?
Yeah, and you're going to get a mix of kind of all the wintry precip types.
So there he is. I love my meteorologist friends. They love to use the term precip. They're trying to, I know that's cool with the meteorologist crowd. I hope that catches on. Me and my wife have been starting to use it around our friends to see if it catches on. It's a slow go, but I'm on your side on that one. So when will the precip happen, Sam?
We're expecting the wintry mix to move into the Metroplex early Thursday morning, and it'll continue all day long into Thursday night before ending early Friday morning. And the main issue with this system is it's been trending further north and warmer, so the Metroplex is going to see more of a mixed bag of winter types. So we're going to see a mix of rain, snow, sleet, and maybe even some ice during the day on Thursday before it all changes over to snow Thursday night. And that means with the temperatures in the 30s, there's going to be some issues on the roads, especially the bridges and the overpasses out there across the Metroplex.
So we're looking at a possibility of more than 24 hours of various precips?
Yes, sir. It's looking like it could start as snow, maybe transition to some sleet and maybe some ice, and then rain, and then back and forth before it ends as snow early Friday morning. And so with that transition going on multiple times, it's really hard to pinpoint down total amounts. But right now it's looking like the Metroplex could see anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snow, with lower amounts on the south side, higher amounts on the north side, and maybe up to 1/10 of an inch of ice.
Okay, so it sounds like as of now, tomorrow's going to be fine. Tomorrow, other than being a little chilly, there's not going to be anything falling out of the sky. Normal weather day, no issues throughout the business day. We don't have anything to worry about until around midnight.
Exactly. And really, for the Metroplex, there's nothing to worry about until early Thursday morning, probably right before sunrise. So tomorrow, great, go about your day. It's just a cold day. Thursday's when we're expecting the big impacts into Friday morning.
Are they going to cancel school? Do I have to come up with something to do for my kids on Thursday and Friday, or maybe just Friday? What do you think about that one, Sam?
Well, it's not up to us whether they close school or not, but I would prepare for the possibility, definitely given what we're forecasting. There could be some issues on the roads, and that may affect whether the schools can stay open or not, as well as the buses. So definitely plan for the possibility, but we'll have to see how everything pans out.
If anybody asks you, tell them no. Say, no, we're not canceling school. You're going to go to school. We need to act like education is important. Because I think my kids are starting to get the implied message that school's just not that important. We cancel it if there's one snowflake that falls out of the sky. We even cancel school these days if it rains too hard. We've had some flash flooding in the area, so we're not going to have school tomorrow. I think you weather guys need to have a chat with the school people and encourage them to be a little more robust.
We'll see what we can do about that, and maybe just tell your kids back in the day you used to hike 3 miles up and down hills in feet of snow. So.
Well, we can say that as a funny story. You're a man of meteorology. You can tell the school people, hey, listen, remember when you were in school and it wasn't that bad and you still went to school? Yeah, the weather's not any different than it was in the 80s and 90s when we were still going to school, even if it rained hard. You could put some context on it.
Well, we'll see what we can do about that, but let's get through this system first.
All right. So how bad do we expect the roads to be? The big concern is the bridges. They don't have the ground to keep them warm, so they ice over pretty quick. Are we going to have problems with that?
Yeah, the roads could be an issue. Luckily, it looks like, at least during the day on Thursday, temperatures are going to warm above freezing across the Metroplex, so that should help with the main roads, but those bridges and overpasses are still going to be cold, so there could be some icy issues there, and especially Thursday night when it drops back down below freezing, that's when we're expecting the really bad travel impacts on the roads out there.
When are we going to be done? Once it hits the ground and freezes, when will it be gone?
Well, on Friday, we're going to warm up to around 40, so that'll really help with melting. And then on Saturday, we're going to warm up to nearly 50. So whatever's fallen Thursday night, it should start melting on Friday and be almost completely gone, or probably completely gone by Saturday afternoon. All
right, Sam Schamberger, thank you very much for keeping us updated on the winter weather. Be safe out there.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, National Weather Service getting a little extra love during this time of wintry mix. I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it at all, but we'll get through it. No big deal. Coming up next, we're going to talk about a story that happened here in Texas. Did we just catch 4 more trained de Aragua gangsters? Oh, my goodness. Wait till you hear the details coming up in 4 minutes on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I am your host, James Parker. And as we're wading through the first big freeze here in North Texas for this winter, a lot of people's attention turns to how do you stay healthy during cold and flu season. To help with that, Dr. Fahmy Farrell is back on The James Show. Welcome back. And I guess rule number 1 that I hear every year is wash your hands. Is that still the number 1 thing you can do to avoid colds and flus?
Yes, washing your hands is very effective in preventing germs from spreading, and it can save many lives. That simple task.
Yeah, but I'm not a big hand washer. How do you talk me into it?
Well, if you don't want to get sick, keep on with your daily activities, being able to go to work and stuff, then there you go. That's your incentive to stay healthy.
But I'm a pretty healthy guy. I don't get sick very often, and this is without the, constant hand washing. I feel like maybe there's something to be said for keeping my immune system, with a steady diet of obstacles to overcome, and maybe it makes me more robust.
Absolutely. Staying active and all of that, all those things that you do to keep your immune system up and healthy is very important.
Yeah, okay, but I also see... Sorry, your phone broke up a little bit. I also see when you go through the hand washing process, there's a lot of things that you do that could introduce germs into the system, because whenever you turn the faucet on, if you have to touch a button or turn a knob, there's a germ vector there. When you go to dry your hands, there's a germ vector over there. And so I see a lot of people adding to their susceptibility to introducing germs by going through that whole ritual.
Oh, this is such a great topic. I'm so glad you're going into details with this. Let me tell you what I do. I have the same exact thing where if you go to a public bathroom, for example, or in an airport, exactly, you have to go through all of those. So what I do is before I wash my hands, I already, have the paper towel kind of dispensed a little bit so that I don't have to touch it. And then once I wash my hands, I use that paper towel to turn off the faucet and that same paper towel to open the door. I hold the doorknob with that. That's me. I know many people will think that's a bit excessive, but that's just how I avoid after washing my hands from being, touching any area that's been touched by others.
Well, you make sense, but I think 99% of the people, I'm just making that number up, but 99% of the people that go through the regular bathroom ritual don't do that. So I think a lot of people aren't as clean as they think they are, even if they are washing their hands.
I totally agree with you.
Oh, look at that.
I couldn't agree more, because I have seen so many people not do what I do that I think I'm in the rare exception area, probably because I'm in the medical field and just germophobia in general. But to offset that, I would say carry hand sanitizers, so that you can also wash your hands with hand sanitizer, and that will be very effective as well.
All right, and stick with me on this one, because I'm not an epidemiologist or whatever they're called, but when we get new germs, it's usually because our hand touches something that other hands touch, whether it's the doorknob or the buttons on the elevator here at the office. I have to mess around with this soundboard, and this keyboard is shared at work. And so really that's where most of the germ pickup comes from, is your hand touching stuff. So I don't understand, if I go to the bathroom and I go number one, just try and be clean about it, why all of a sudden I need to touch my hand because it touched that. Because I don't open doors with that. I don't touch the elevator buttons with that. I don't mash on keyboard buttons with that. So really, if anything, I need to wash that off because it touched my hand, and my hand has been, going through the germs of the outside world. And so I've almost found the bathroom hand washing ritual backwards. Like, you don't need to wash your hand because it touched your you-know-what. You probably need to wash your you-know-what because it touched your hand.
My goodness, this is hilarious. But, yeah, I see your logic. I agree with you at work. The work surfaces could be very dirty, and that's where a lot of germs can spread. And that's actually the reason why frequent hand washing, even if it's with just hand sanitizer, is very important, because you minimize the amount of germs that's on your hands, and as a result, you stop that spread.
I don't believe in masks either. I have a hard time not accosting people who are using masks in public. Talk me out of that.
Yes, mask wearing is difficult indeed. And, thankfully we are out of the pandemic, so not as many people are wearing masks, and it's not necessary. But if, during the winter months, like the flu virus, for example, is out there, and a lot more people are susceptible to it for that reason. So when you're in crowded areas, if you can, then that would be a good idea to wear a mask. Of course, it's not mandatory, that especially for those who are predisposed, like they have pre-existing conditions, like, people who have cancer, for example, or have recently undergone chemo, they're a lot more susceptible to gaining those things like flu and whatnot, and COVID. COVID's still out there. So for those people, it's definitely a good idea to wear a mask. But it's not just for them. Anybody, crowded area, we still advise, if you can, wear a mask.
What other tips? What should I be asking about? Oh, no. The other thing, I made a note here for you, Fami. What about my friends who use like herbal treatments and the remedies like echinacea. Does echinacea do anything to cure a cold or a flu?
There's no data to suggest that. In
say that louder. Say that louder for my wife and her friends who tell me echinacea is good and it works.
Yeah, there's no medical data behind it. Most herbal products are like that. Those are usually, there's not really a whole lot of research done to back up the data to say that, hey, there's proof that this works. So I can't really support using that with any kind of medical data.
Oh, it makes me so happy to hear you say that, because here's the conversation I have with my wife and her two friends, Casey and Sarah. They're not listening. They say, no, you don't know, James. I will feel a cold coming on and I'll be sick and I'll take echinacea and within a day or two I'll feel better. I'm like, if you didn't take the echinacea, you'd probably have the exact same result. You got sick. If you just sit around and don't take any weird plants, you'll feel better in a day or two anyway. And so it's almost this self-fulfilling prophecy, and I have no way to get them out of that cycle.
Yeah, well, as you said, it is, yes, if you're infected with something viral, it's going to run its course, and, take it easy, relax, rest, stay hydrated. Those would be the usual things that make people feel better.
How do they find your work outside of the James Show?
My work is great. I love my work. I love what I do. I was fortunate enough to have Christmas off and New Year's Eve off. So I'm back to work now, and I'm loving it.
Find Dr. Farah on YouTube. I liked your How Daylight Savings Impacts Your Heart Health. We had talked about that last time you were on. I went and watched the video. Good stuff. Go check her out online. Dr. Fahmi Farah, F-H-A or F-A-H-M-I-F-A-R-A-H. Thank you very much, doctor.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up next, final look at your forecast and tips to be safe over the winter weather that's expected to come sometime tomorrow night. And I have a message for you people who are you just itching to close the schools, aren't you? I'm going to try and talk you out of it next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, I found another one who's not a fan. Jay says over here on Twitter, and this wasn't a Twitter instant message. This was out in the public for everyone to see. This is what I say when I say don't at me, at James Parker Show. Hey, fat boy, keep chirping about cyclists. Oh, wow. You got me so good. What are you going to do? Hit me with your cute little helmet? Is that what you're going to do? You gonna run me over in your Schwinn? You're going to hurt my feelings. I don't hate cyclists, okay? I knew some people would come away with that thought. We just think you're dorks, and you're increasing the misery for people around you with bike lanes. And I'm not going to relitigate the whole thing, but don't take it so personal over there, Jace. And I'm not fat. I'm maybe a little overweight according to the doctor scale. I'm just in the orange. I'm not in the red part yet. Like to get back down to green. Hadn't been in yellow for a while either. But I'm not fat. Just kind of overweight, just maybe a little big bone. How about that? All right, a couple things here. The timetable keeps moving around on the weather, but look, when precipitation falls out of the sky, it's not going to fall everywhere in the WBAP listening area all at once. It's going to come in probably a diagonal wave across. So you just want to leave it here, because we're going to have people that will be giving you steady updates, not people that are going to voice track a weather recording at 4 this afternoon and let it run overnight until the morning show the next morning. No, we actually are one of the few places that have a newsroom and human beings working 24 hours a day watching things like this. So just keep us in mind when we say, we're news, weather, traffic, sports, all that. This is one of them, weather. And when weather's an issue, remember WBAP. 820 AM, now 93.3 FM, but also the WBAP app, WBAP.com. We sneak in on some other companies' apps, so you can find WBAP maybe on an app that doesn't match our company name. Maybe it rhymes with pie chart. Who knows? But you can find that and the James Show podcast as well. All of that's for free. We pay for that, so you don't have to. Let me just throw some positive thoughts out into the ether with the hopes that some school administrators may be listening. In the tens of thousands of people that are listening to the James Show. Oh, who am I kidding? In the dozens of people who are listening to the James Show right now, there might be like a principal or superintendent or trustee or someone in a position of power on school districts. But please, please, please don't close the schools. Don't close them on Thursday. Don't close them on Friday. And unless this is way more than we thought, and there really is just 6 inches of ice on the ground everywhere, and it's too dangerous to actually get the buses out of the bus loop. I have a feeling that's not what's going to happen. We know what usually happens. That we get a lot of hype. There might be some flakes that fall out of the sky. They hit the ground. They're probably going to melt within a few hours, if not minutes. And school's going to get canceled on a day or 2 days when it was totally unnecessary. Can we start minimizing when we call school off? Can we start like backing that off? Because I get it. If there really is snow everywhere, we canceled school when I was a kid. When you were a kid, school got canceled. But this garbage where we have all these holidays and then we don't even come back from the Christmas break until this week. You know, most schools, my kids' school started today. They just started back today. I believe Arlington starts back tomorrow. And then what are y'all going to call class on Thursday and Friday? And it's not that, I think these 2 extra days of education are critical to, your kid getting into the college of their choice. But it is part of this overall attitude towards school that I think y'all minimize how important school is to the kids. And when you do that, when you show kids that education isn't really so important that you got to drive through snow to get there, you're sending them the message that education isn't important. You can tell them, education is important. This is the number one way that you're going to have a successful life or a guaranteed career, a guarantee that you won't be in poverty. The key to reaching upward mobility is your education. But it's not so important. We're not going to go if it's raining too hard. You can tell them that. But when they see you canceling snow for light and trivial reasons, like the faintest of snow, the real message they're getting is that school really isn't that important. When they do have to go to school, but it's homecoming week. So we got spirit days. So you can wear your PJs on this day. You can dress as your favorite superhero on Tuesday, and Wednesday you can be, stop that. School's not supposed to be a party. It's not supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to be dressing up in costume. Now, you can do that every once in a while, but we've gone way past the acceptable amount. We have way too many class parties. We have way too many days off. We're off for Columbus Day and President's Day, and we have extra long time off for Christmas, and then there's a fall break, and there's a spring break, and we're off for everything. Stop sending the message to the kids that school isn't that important. Like when Columbus Day happened in the fall. They were off on Monday, but hey, if you're going to be off on Monday, why don't we just be off on Friday? We get a 4-day weekend. Stop that. The Friday before Columbus Day shouldn't be a day off. Why are we taking a day off? Oh, because we're going to have a minor holiday in 3 days. I need you people to start teaching my kids that, learning how to read is more important than that. Reading a book is more important. Learning your math is more important. And I think a lot of this just exploded with COVID. They're like, well, we got to close schools. There's a disease that if your kid gets it, he has a 99.9% chance of surviving. That's way too dangerous for your educational environment. Not in my book. Education is more important than a 1 in 1,000 chance of dying over the next 13 years. You people need to start treating it like that because you're sending kids the message that school isn't important when you close it this often. Do not close school Thursday or Friday. Please. I'm out of time. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. When I get out of here, I'm going to put up the podcast. You can go check that out. The James Show. Wherever you're already listening to podcasts, Apple Podcasts or whatever, Spotify. But I really prefer if you use WBAP app or WBAP.com. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.